One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. So the last question on the football front here, and this kind of weaves through everything we've talked about so far. And right, the transfer of Vernon Adams from your place to Oregon was huge news not too long ago, and we've already seen another student athlete from Montana State go to Oregon, now a quarterback. And this impacts a 12-game schedule from a depth standpoint. It impacts the expectations of your fan base, given some of the star power of a guy like Vernon Adams. The transfer rules, how do you personally feel this stuff should be handled now that maybe you've had some time to think more about it, or is your stance the same as when Vernon left?
Yeah, I would say this. We couldn't appreciate more what Vern did for us and for Eastern Washington University. I mean, and the athletic department and the football program. Obviously, he had a stellar 3-year career here, and we were just excited about, calling him an Eagle forever. And so he's got a degree from here, and he's been around Cheney before he went up to Montreal, and now he's with the CFL. So again, we've got a great relationship with Vern, and we can't thank him enough. Yeah, it was an interesting situation. And I think that, again, I think the intended, legislation was very well intended. And honestly, I'm in the camp, and again, this is my personal opinion, I'm in the camp of, if someone finishes their undergraduate degree at that point in time, it would seem logical to me that maybe they should have opportunities at that stage. The only trick to, I think, where I think at least I've discussed it with some of my counterparts that we got to get our arms around is when do we contact that student athlete? When is it that permission to contact makes sense? And for me, it seems maybe after you've graduated. And, that would seem logical to me. And so there's some pieces to this that we've got to kind of continue to vet through. And I think, the NCAA will always look at transfers, not only on the graduate level, but also on the undergraduate level. Is it the right thing for us for each particular sport at that current time?
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic. For those of us who aren't familiar with the Spokane landscape, and obviously we know Gonzaga is right in your all's backyard, how do your all's two brands play in the marketplace? They don't play football, of course, and I use the word play in so much as, how do you try to position your brand? You mentioned your fan base continues to grow in that very first statement. Is there competition there for the independent dollar for a non-fan who just wants to go see good sports? How does that play out?
It really is a good question, Matt. And I don't know sometimes if folks are tracking how close we are to GU, and obviously they've done a tremendous job. I mean, what they've done with their, obviously specifically their men's basketball program is really nothing short of amazing. And Coach Few and all the coaches that preceded him deserve an unbelievable amount of credit. But, Spokane is kind of a small town, if you will. It's the second largest city in the state of Washington, but it's got that town feel. And so everybody in town. And, we were fortunate enough 5 years ago to hire Jim Hayford, Coach Hayford from Whitworth University, which was another institution, a Division III school in Spokane, in North Spokane. And at that time, Coach Hayford had Whitworth at number 1 in the country in Division III. And he's done a marvelous job with us. And, I'll be honest with you, he is an unbelievable, on top of being an unbelievable coach, he's an unbelievable marketer and fundraiser. And he knows a lot of folks in town, has had a lot of equity here. And, honestly, with conversations with Jim, we try to figure out what GU's schedule is to some degree, and we try to avoid times. I mean, if we play on a Saturday and we know they've got a 5 o'clock tip, we may go at 1 o'clock. And so, we try to be smart with that. And, we understand that some people may want to go to both. And so we just have to be, incredibly smart and realistic. And that's what we try to do. And, they're our friends. I mean, they're doing a great job. When they're successful and athletics is doing well in this community, it rises all the ships. So yeah. We're excited about what they do. And don't forget, Washington State and Idaho is only 90 minutes south of us,
right.
South of us as well. So that sometimes can clutter the marketplace as well.
I usually like to end these conversations with a professional development or uh, perspective question, and the one I want you to think about is let's think back to when maybe you were an assistant AD or an associate AD, kind of this mid-tier leadership level, and now you've been an athletic director for a number of years. What belief that you held back then proved to be untrue, or what piece of advice maybe did you get coming up through those ranks that is now maybe misguided? What's changed in your lexicon of the industry, let's say in the last 10 to 15 years as you've grown through it?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's probably a lot of different ways you can go with that. I think as you're moving through, and sometimes you don't even know, where you are on the escalator, so to speak, or are you getting toward potentially an athletic director's chair. I think if you're a senior associate at any level, really any position in the athletic department, if you're doing an unbelievable job, you can lead from any chair. I mean, that is a skill that if you have a department that is entrepreneurial and people feel as though they can let go to do what they do best and they communicate well, you can lead from any chair. And I believe that then. I still believe that now as we try to shepherd, our staff, through things each and every year. And then, from us, at some point, you just have to have always a core value. And, what's your core? What at the end of it all, when stuff walks through the door, because trust me, it is. I mean, there's always something coming through. And, I always kind of go back to, is in the best interest of the student athlete? Is it the best interest of our department? Is it the best interest of the university? And if you can answer those questions, if you're ever, I guess, confused about a situation, I think you can default back to those, and then that at least gets you perspective. If one of those questions is not, is it in the best interest of me? And if you can kind of cross that one off and stick with those three, it gives you a chance.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.